Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today's Thursday, June 17th, 2021. We appreciate those of you that are in attendance, as well as those of you that are online with us as well. We'll start out with a roll call. And we're all here. I would ask you to please stand for a brief invocation and a pledge. If you would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day and for the blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this community. All things that are accomplished will give you the honor and glory. For in Christ's name we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements? Any announcements? I do have one. We will return to our normal meeting schedule with our next meeting, which will be July the 1st. So our work session will be at 4 o'clock and our voting session will begin at 6 o'clock. So getting past the COVID time, we will return to our normal session. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on June 3rd, 2021. Are there any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield. Second. Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved 4-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on June 3rd, 2021. Are there any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Dooley, seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved 4-0. Next up is approval of the agenda. Don't have any changes to the agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett. Second. Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved 4-0. No one signed up for public comment in this section.
No, sir.
We'll move on into the public hearings. First up, we have the comprehensive plan update, the first of one hearing. As you know, we've made some residential land use changes and the commercial land use change. This is a first step in moving forward with doing a comprehensive plan update. So at this time, I'll open up this public hearing. Is anyone here to speak on the comprehensive plan update? Anyone here to speak on the comprehensive plan update? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. Commissioners, the vote would be to move forward with the comprehensive plan update. Any other information needed from you, from our planning director prior to the motions?
Motion to move forward with the update.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, public hearing, possible extension of existing moratorium on the acceptance for approval of final subdivision plats that create new roads. The first of one hearing. Ms. Davis, or Jameson, you want to come and give us a little bit of an update here?
Thank you, Chairman. What we are looking to do, after staff would like to recommend an extension of the moratorium for 60 days. We believe that this would give us enough time to complete the update to our subdivision regulations and to bring it back before the board and get it completely approved through the board. Now, we also know that, it's 60 days it's a long time frame. Denise and I have been working on it. We will probably be updating it short of that. We just don't want to give ourselves not enough time. And that way, at that time, when we bring it before the board, obviously the board has the choice of extinguishing that moratorium at that time.
Questions for Jameson?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, the only
Go
thing that I will add is you have a resolution that's been proposed that's consistent with the previous resolutions that have been adopted by this board, that if it meets with the board's approval and consistent with staff's recommendation, it provides for the moratorium to be extended to terminate on August 20th, unless otherwise terminated earlier, as mentioned by Jameson.
Do we have anything out there now that's could possibly hold anything up as far as any subdivisions that's completing or?
Not currently.
Okay.
We should, I expect to see some toward the end of the summer, if that, but it wouldn't hold up in a significant amount of time. I don't believe.
Other questions? Thank you, James. At this time, I'll open up this public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on the possible extension of existing moratorium on the acceptance for approval of final subdivision plats that create new roads? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we approve the extension of the existing moratorium on the acceptance for approval of final subdivision plats that create new roads until
For 60 days?
60 days.
Okay, so we'll be adopting the resolution.
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We'll move on into zonings. First up, let me go over the rules that we will go by for our zoning this afternoon. First, the planning director will present the application and recommendation of the planning commission. Next, we will hear from the applicant. Then I'll open the hearing. We'll hear from those who are in favor of the application. Then we'll hear from those who are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per our zoning guidelines. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in and give us your name and address. Also, if anyone has donated $250 or more to any candidate, you will need to fill out a form stating so. Those are the rules that we will use in tonight's zoning. So first up, we have ZA 20-25 Fall Leaf Residential Request to rezone tax map parcel 085-016 from RSR Residential Subrural to RS2 Residential Suburban 2 for the purpose of developing a 120 residential lot subdivision. This is on Highway 9 South. This was tabled indefinitely from the February 18th, 2021 voting session, at which time a first public hearing was held. So, Jameson.
As the chairman stated, this was presented back in February. It was tabled indefinitely. The applicant has come back with a new site plan and a list of stipulations that they are willing to implement on this particular rezoning application. But I think it's important to note that the density was originally proposed to R3, RS3, and now they are coming back with something that is an RS2 product. The density went from 141 units down to 120. So that's 2.16 units an acre down to around 1.8. They did add an amenity area as well as some walking trails and some other additional buffers for this particular rezoning of this proposed conservation neighborhood. I'll let the applicant kind of go through the individual stipulations that they are wanting to place on this rezoning request, and I'll entertain any questions at this time.
Questions for Jameson? So the current zoning on this piece of property is RSR.
Correct.
The future land use map has it as RSR. And the planning commission recommendation was,
Planning commission recommendation was denial based on the fact that they said that this was really far away from the what we intended on the RS2 and the RS3 proposed new zoning classifications to be.
other questions for Jameson? Thank you, sir. We may have some more later. Is the applicant present? Come on up, tell us what you'd like to do.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Neil Hindy. My address is 3280 Point Parkway, Norcross, Georgia, 30092. I am here on behalf of the applicant, Fall Leaf Residential. This property is a 65-acre tract of land fronting on the west side of Georgia Highway 9, approximately 2.8 miles north of the intersection of Dawson Forest Road and Georgia Highway 9. We had originally submitted an application for the RS3 classification with 141 residential lots. But after several meetings with staff and some of the commissioners, we understand the concerns you have and have tried to address these concerns with a revised site plan, fewer homes, and a set of zoning conditions that we believe will ensure that the homes in this development are the high-quality homes that you prefer. In the interest of time, I would like to highlight a few of the zoning conditions that would specifically address the issue of the quality of the homes to be built. Be happy to read them all, but I wanted to get.
Go ahead and read 'em
to
all.
the, okay, sure. Number one, the property shall be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan submitted, except for changes approved by the planning director. Number two, the property shall be zoned RS2 and there shall be no more than 120 residential units within the development. Number three, the exterior building materials for all homes shall consist of one or more of the following: brick, stone, cement-based siding, cedar, and/or shake. Number four, all roof gables shall be a pitch of no less than 8 to 12. This condition shall not apply to dormers, porches, bay windows, and third floor retreats. Number five, all roof vents, pipes, and other roof equipment except chimneys shall be located on the rear elevations and shall be painted to match the color of the roof. Number six, the developer shall use a variety of techniques to avoid the monotonous appearance of identical homes. Such techniques may employ, among others, the use of differing front elevations, architectural styles, building exteriors, and other similar techniques so that no house is the same as any house directly in front of or on either adjacent side of it. Number seven, all overhangs, including gables and side gables, will have a minimum of a 12-inch overhang on all sides. Number eight, the roofing materials used on all homes shall be cedar shake, 3-tab, or architectural/dimensional style asphalt shingles or metal as appropriate to the architectural style of each home. Number nine, carriage-style garage doors with decorative hardware shall be used on each home, and each home shall have not less than a 2-car garage. Number 10, there shall be a minimum of 1,800 square feet of heated space for each 1-story home and 2,400 square feet for each 2-story home. Number 11, there shall be no rental units unless approved by the homeowners association, and the maximum number of rental units allowed at any one time shall not exceed 10% unless approved by the homeowners association on a hardship basis. Number 12, all sidewalks shall be a minimum of 5 feet in width. Number 13, all driveways must extend a minimum of 25 feet from the back of the sidewalk to the garage door. Number 14, a 50-foot buffer will be established along the entire exterior of the property. All existing tree cover in the buffer area will be preserved, and the developer will plant a row of Leland cypress or green giant arborvitae along the entire northern boundary, except in areas with existing tree cover. I'd like to add, on that note, number 14, we have agreed as of this morning, the applicant has instructed me that they are okay with a 100-foot buffer on the northern property boundary line to alleviate the concerns of the neighbors to the north. And finally, number 15, all open space shall be preserved and protected by covenants in the homeowner's declaration. And the homeowners association will be responsible for all future maintenance and upkeep of the open space, all entrance features, and any amenities. Continuing on, regarding our site plan, we have submitted a revised site plan with a more appealing design and have reduced the number of lots from 141 to 120. The zoning classification will now be RS2 instead of the RS3 we originally proposed. This new site plan now shows 34.6 acres, over 53% of the site as open space, which will conserve much of the property in its natural vegetative state and also provide for passive amenity areas such as walking trails and green space for the residents. I would also like to add that just this morning, Fall Leaf has agreed to a 100-foot buffer on the northern property boundary rather than 50 as previously shown on the plan, in an effort to alleviate any concerns of the adjoining neighbors to the north. Condition number 14 already states that the existing tree cover in the buffer areas will be preserved, and the developer will plant a row of Leland cypress or green giant arborvitae along the entire northern boundary, except in areas with existing tree cover. There will also be a 50-foot open space buffer along Highway 9, which will be heavily landscaped to provide a very attractive entrance to the community. Highway 9 is a state route, and we would, of course, agree to any intersection improvements required by Dawson County and the Georgia DOT. Our plan shows two separate entrances into the community, one of which we anticipate will be a right-in, right-out entrance, and the other a full entrance with a dedicated left turn lane. Again, the homeowners association will be responsible for the future maintenance and upkeep of all entrance features, open spaces, and amenity areas. As I mentioned during our last presentation, the Dawson County Comprehensive Plan points out that the new housing market in Dawson County provides few opportunities beyond single-family homes on large lots. And we feel that this project is ideally suited for an RS2 development and will address this critical need in the county. The new RS2 zoning category was established in December 2019 to allow the opportunity to provide for smaller lots to fulfill this established need. Your future land use plan was completed before this zoning category was available, so the land use plan doesn't have any areas designated for this use. In reality, there are actually very few sites in the county that lend themselves to development under the RS2 category, and we believe that this site is one of the very few due to the fact that it has access to public sewer, water, and frontage on Georgia Highway 9, one of the county's major arteries. In closing, I would like to add that this property is owned by Mr. Jimmy Holbrook and Mr. Tim Bird, who have owned it and paid property taxes on it for 25 years. Mr. Bird passed away a little over a year ago, and his family and Mr. Holbrook simply want a reasonable zoning on the property so they can sell it. We believe our request is a reasonable zoning, will be a high-quality residential development, and will provide much-needed housing for this area. We respectfully request that the Board of Commissioners approve our application.
Questions of the applicant?
On your proposed buffer, is that any berms with that or just?
Well, the buffer on the northern side, the property falls from north to south. So berming that area really wouldn't make a lot of sense. That's why we've increased that. One reason we've increased that buffer area to 100 feet. We're going to preserve, I know there are two beautiful trees back there, persimmon and a pecan, I believe. So we're going to preserve those and any existing tree cover to help with that concern.
One of your illustrations of a unit shows it's appears to be maybe three-side brick. Are you proposing that you'll have three-side brick units in the subdivision?
I'm not, I don't have the authority to agree to that today, unfortunately. That's something I can go back to them and ask, but I don't believe I have that authority today.
Other questions of the applicant? Thanks, sir. We may have some more later. At this time, I'll open up the hearing. Is anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Come on up, give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
James said, this is not my forte, so I'm not good at speaking, but I'm Jimmy Holbrook, one of the owners. And I live at 612 Woodbrook Farm Road, Dawsonville, Georgia. Straight across from Dawson County Middle School. And I just would like for everybody to understand that me and Tim bought this property with the expectation of one day retiring on what we sold the property for, because we knew it was a good piece of property and a good location. But Tim passed away. We hadn't even thought about selling. Tim passed away, and then somebody come along and offered us a good price for it, a real good price, we thought. And I think his children, his wife is okay, but I think his children could use the money. One of them's going to school to be a doctor. That's very expensive. And then, I guess the only other thing that's hard for me to get across is a long time ago, everybody wanted things to come here where our kids could be here in the county, work here, stay here, not move to Atlanta or Gainesville or somewhere to work and live. And we'd have what we've got on 400. And that's came. But now everybody wants to enjoy the convenience of that in Dawson County. And the closeness, having the doctors, having all of that right here with us. But they only want the people on that end to share in the traffic and the multi-buildings or whatever. And even the industrial. I mean, the industrial down there now is, they're putting houses down there instead of industrial, where it should be industrial. But those are just some things that's hard for me to understand. I guess that's about it, but I appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir. Will you sign in, please? Thank you. Your pen there?
I was nervous.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Okay, anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Start with you. Please sign in, give us your name and your address, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Don Brown, 241 Apple Ridge 2. My property is on the north of this development. I appeared before you back in February asking at that time that the initial variance be denied. I returned for the same reason. The city of Dawsonville has already impacted the area with 2 high-density housing developments on Highway 9 South. That highway is not sufficient in size to accommodate the anticipated traffic growth, nor is it capable of being traversed safely by emergency services or sheriff vehicles with the increased traffic. I cannot disagree with homes being built on that acreage, as that is expected. But the county should enforce the rules of RSR in section 319, where the dimensional requirement for lot sizes are 100 feet wide by 150 feet deep, and minimum acreage is not required where the development has water and sewer. Section 306 says in part, quote, residential sub-rural districts are areas where substantial investment in permanent residences has been and will be made. Uses that will devalue investment and undermine environmental quality are prohibited, unquote. The development of the acreage may have an adverse environmental impact on the homeowners that abut the property. What will be the impact on the aquifer? What impact or damage will befall the homeowner wells? Will adjacent homeowners be provided water and sewer at developer or county expense? How will the development impact the creek? What impact will there be on the wetland? The effects on adjacent property owners, the effects on the environment, the possible devaluation of investments, the effects on traffic and the overall increase in law enforcement requirements demand this variance be denied. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up, give us your name and your address. Please sign in, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Afternoon. My name is Renee Livingstone and I live at 2493 Highway 9 South, directly across the street from where the water retention pond for this subdivision is located possibly. So when I check my mailbox every afternoon, I will get to look at their, yucky area. I would like to thank Mr. Gaines and Fawcett for calling me back. I sent an email out to everyone trying to point out several things that are affecting all of the neighbors. I have lots of neighbors in this area that I know, when we received this letter a few weeks ago from Fall Leaf saying, we are coming back to the commission trying to go for RS2. And we are oh so proud of our 40% of our property is going to be green space. Well, that's fine. There is a stream back there that needs to be protected. The gentleman today comes up here and says that they've increased that to 50% of the property is going to be designated as green space. Well, if you take 65 acres and you take 50% of that away, they've only got 32.5 acres to build on. That other property is not buildable. So they're saying they're asking for RS2. But if you take 32 acres and divide it by 120 houses, that's 0.27 houses per acre. That's RS3, which we all know doesn't need. We've already been through this. Doesn't need to be in this area. That is simple math. If you take out half the acreage and put 120 houses on 30-something acres, 0.27 houses per acre is what they're wanting to build. The buffer that the gentleman just spoke about, putting in the northern, they're going to increase that to 100 and leave all the beautiful trees. Well, if you go down that piece of property, the first major section of it has no trees. It's a kudzu field. There are no trees on the northern border until you get to the back part of the property, which they can't build on anyways. So then other than a row of cypress trees down that barrier, there's nothing to protect that 100-foot. There's no houses in major sections of that 100-foot. So again, they're not keeping any green space, trees, natural coverage, because it's all kudzu right now. You can drive down there and see. One question I did have, and I'm not sure who needs to answer it, but this is the packet that y'all received about the zoning. And I contacted Harmony last week and she sent me a copy that y'all had. And these two diagrams don't match. This one shows 122 houses and this one shows 120 houses. So I wasn't sure, she sent it to me, so I don't know what the difference is, but there is obviously 122 houses on this plan and 120 houses on this plan. So I received this from the county, so I didn't know which one would be the correct one to go by. I was trying to read through and trying to cover all my points that I wanted to make sure. But in 2000.
Time's up. Ma'am, your time is up.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can we not, how much longer would it take you? I really would.
But we need
like
to stick to the guidelines. We have 3-minute guideline in our zoning policy, and we need to stick to that.
Okay.
Because we gotta have several people wanting to talk.
Thank you for your
I
time.
mean,
Thank you.
surely it couldn't take over 2 or 3 more minutes. So
We need to stay with what we have.
I disagree.
All right, anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else? Come on up, give us your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Joey Bearden. I live at 2441 Highway 9 South, Dawsonville, across the road from the proposed development. My wife and I have lived there for 40 years. I think the property across the road is already zoned correctly to allow for one house per acre. To keep the current zoning as it is would encourage a better quality development and better fit in and around our surrounding area, where everyone up and down the road on both sides of the road already have unique houses on acres of land. One house per acre would be a very good practice for Dawson County to have throughout the county for good quality growth. Change this zoning to allow 120 houses to be built on the property would be detrimental to our neighborhood and county, putting almost double the burden on our roads, schools, water and sewage, sheriff's department, and emergency services. A change of zoning for this one spot, it's a spot zone that only benefits the developers who would build these. He says it's not cookie cutter houses, but I bet it'll look a whole lot like them, and leave the county with the problems that they bring. If the zoning chart change is approved, it will set a precedent and open the door for everyone with RSR to request change and get it, or they will sue. This is a slippery slope that we as a county do not need to go down. I don't think every farm, field, pasture, kudzu patch should become a high-density subdivision in Dawson County. We don't have to become another Gwinnett or Forsyth County. And you commissioners are our main defense against this. We can develop, grow. I know we're going to change, but we can do it and prosper in a smarter and better way than this. Please deny this rezoning request and help Dawson grow in a more sensible and quality way.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up, sir. Give us your name, your address. Please sign in, and then you will have 3 minutes.
My name's Larry Grant. I live at 2345 Highway 9 South, right across from the kudzu field. As I told you in February, whenever I was here, I'm not one to tell someone else what to do with their land. But setting and changing a zone is setting a precedent for other people to come in. What's going to take the next person to ask you, I want 4 houses on an acre. I want 5 houses on an acre. I own 9.6 acres right across from this. I could put a lot of houses on that, but I choose not to, because that's whenever we bought 42 years ago, that's what we wanted. We wanted a lot of land, and we didn't want a lot of people around us. And, I know both families. I grew up with both families who owns that land, and I think the world of them. My parents were friends of theirs. So, it's really a hard thing for me to get up here and object to them selling their land. But I'm going to have to, because they're going to put so many houses out there that it's just too many houses per acre. And I'm asking y'all to consider it and to think about it. If it was your land and they was going to put 2.5 houses per acre across from you, how would you feel about it? So I'm totally against the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else? Come on up, give us your name and your address. Please sign in, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm India Hawkins. I live directly across the street from the kudzu patch, and I just wanted to say that 1 acre per house, 1 acre would be the best way to go. With all those other houses, it's gonna take the beauty away from Dawsonville. I look at the one up the street every day and thank God that the weeds are growing up because I don't have to see them anymore, but they're like cookie cutter homes and they are just not very charming at all for Dawsonville. And the traffic is going to be horrible. And I'm gonna be right between the two entrances. And I'm like, thinking now there's already a hill and a curve coming down. I'm thinking, I had to get in the other lane the other day when I pulled out because I didn't see the guy flying down the highway, flying down the little curve in the hill. And he went flying by me and then I got in my right lane and went on. But so it's already hard for me to get out of my driveway now. Now I'm gonna have two entrances I'm gonna have to look at in the the median. Where are they gonna put it? Are they gonna tear our side of the yard up? Are they gonna tear that side of the yard up to put this turning lane in? And I don't think that would be good for the left side or the right side going towards, coming up here towards Dawsonville to take our property to put that turning lane in. And it's gonna just take away from the wildlife. And I get to sit on my front porch every night and look at, when I get home and look at my sunset, and it's gonna be gone with all these houses you're gonna put in. So I would like for y'all to deny all the houses that they're gonna put in there. I mean, I know that Dawsonville has to continue to grow, but let's grow a beautiful Dawsonville, not all these cookie cutter homes. And that's about all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up, give us your name and your address. Please sign in and you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Brenda Johnston and I live at 105 Apple. Oh, thank you, first of all, for letting me have a word here. I live at 105 Apple Ridge 2. I'm on the north side. I have 545 feet of property adjacent to this proposed subdivision. I've expressed my thoughts to everybody. I've written documents, letters, emails. So I think really everybody knows my point of view and probably are tired of hearing my point of view. I had a very nice conversation with Mr. Tommy Barnes today, and the 100-foot buffer is in response to a request I had made because right now my property, my front door was going to end up, I can't remember the exact footage, but about 160 feet from lot 10's back door. And that seemed a bit close to me. And I thought the only way I could survive this subdivision would be have a little bit more of a buffer. So the 100 feet sounds good to me. But I told him honestly, I still can't request that you guys approve this because it's too many houses in too small a space, because it's only like 30 acres times divided by 120 houses. So it's very dense there. And even though they've made some cosmetics to what they're going to put on the house, the carriage doors, for instance, you're never going to see them because it's going to be people parked in front of them with their cars because that's where they're going to park. They don't park in the garages because there's no storage in these houses. So they're parking in front of their garages or on the street. So some of the upgrades are great. I think that's a good thing. But there's still too many of like houses in the subdivision as a whole, because even though you won't have one on both sides or across from you, you're still going to see yourself in another house somewhere or lots of places in this subdivision. I did tell Mr. Barnes that even though they had agreed to some additional requests from me, that I could not honor his request to not oppose this. I definitely oppose this. I strongly oppose it. And I request that you deny this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? The clerk did receive one email from a lady and her husband who could not attend and asked that their opinion be read into the record, and so I will read that now. Says, I am not sure, this is from Greg and Jill Brock. I am not sure if we'll be able to attend tonight due to a work meeting I must attend. Can you make sure that it is noted that we are completely opposed to this new subdivision? We own the property at 84 Strickland Drive, which is in essence on lot away from the proposed subdivision. Though the developer states that there isn't affordable housing in the area, there are several projects either in development or recently completed that fulfill that market. In addition, if based on their comments to provide low-cost housing, it would definitely bring down the value of the houses in the area. In developing real estate comp pricing, the prices of local sales play heavily into what you can sell your house for. So to have low-cost housing in our backyard is not going to increase the value of our property. We feel it will in fact lower the value. In addition, it will completely change the feel of the neighborhood from a more rural property owner with at least an acre or more of land to a packed subdivision with too many houses packed in together. This we feel will affect the atmosphere of our property and the feeling of privacy we and our neighbors love and have now. Another point is the traffic will most definitely increase in the area. We have already seen a big increase with just the recently completed developments, not including those that are already in development, to the point that it can be dangerous pulling out of the road. It is our opinion if the developer were to build housing that is in keeping with the character of the area, houses with 1 or 1+ acres per household, then it would not be such an issue and would also not increase the traffic to such great extent. I fervently hope that the board will consider the opinions and feelings of the people that will be most affected and choose to deny this project as currently proposed. That is Greg and Jill Brock, 84 Strickland Drive. Anyone else to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I will close that hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
I think, just one of the toughest decisions that this board has to make is balancing the rights of citizens. And the property owner has rights, the people that live around subdivisions have rights. And Dawson County is in a position where we have a tremendous amount of growth pressure that is knocking on our doors every day. And subdivisions just like this, we are responsible for representing the masses and representing the majority of the community, in my opinion. We have a comprehensive land use plan that was, we had extreme high participation in it the last time we did this a couple of years ago. It's been represented by the community that they want the densities and the development to predominantly be up and down the 400 corridor where the infrastructure is in place, predominantly road infrastructure, I believe, and feather that as you move away from 400. And I think this board has been consistent in other zoning applications that go along with that, to the point where we get to 1 unit an acre down the road from this subdivision. And so it's a challenge, it's a balancing act. I think that the RSR fits this area best. I think the houses that are around there, it would be changing the character of that particular space, I believe, by allowing the higher densities above the RSR.
Well, I have to echo what Chris said. I guess this is the hardest decision I've made. And I've been here, this is my 7th year. And I see both sides. I absolutely do. But then it boils down to this motto that we have, you know, where the quality of life matters. And I know what I think quality of life is, and I think the people talk to me and I know what they think. And nobody has said that people don't have a right to sell their property, or they don't have a right to do certain things on their property. We're not saying that. I just think it's just too much density here. And I worry about the traffic. I mean, that little Highway 9 is a pig trail, you know, it's very small. And I worry about that. And I also worry about even crime when you jam all these people together. And then I go back to the other side about their rights, but you know, I've got to make a decision. And while I appreciate the stipulations, and they've gone back and they've tried to come up with a, you know, different site plan and something better, I just don't think it's enough. And I think there's room for nice upscale houses, you know, and instead of, and with Sweetwater Preserve and Thunder Ridge or whatever, that's in the city, and had I been on the city council, I would have never approved that. So, you know, while it's a difficult decision, I just think it's just not right for the area, you know, of Highway 9. So that's my spiel.
If you look at the area on Highway 9, and Jameson, you can answer to this. 3 sides is RSR, correct? And the other side's RA. So it's RSR, 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 and RA. So, and the future land use map has this as RSR, which is in character with the area. Okay, thank you. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Y'all gonna make some comment?
No, I mean, we've discussed, like subdivision, we go from, we want more green space and more buffers to, if they go to 1 acre lots, you won't have any green space, or you won't have the 100-foot buffers. I mean, I know we want to go on some of them, we're looking at conservation subdivisions on one area, then I like the conservation because you're not clear cutting the property, you're not cutting all the trees off. You're putting the buffers around, and a lot of these young people now, they like to be closer together. They don't want to cut your grass or cut the yards. We're trying to build some workforce housing. If we go upscale, all brick side, that's not workforce housing. That's $400,000 to $500,000 housing. This is my opinion. I like the more green space, the more buffers, the conservation type subdivision. We've talked about that. I think Jameson, what would be their green space if it was 1 acre? How much open space? That 1 acre lots.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, conservation would allow you to, would require at least 40%.
Yeah, 40% green space, which would keep somebody from clear cutting the property, keep somebody from, being able to see the houses or fences from the road. You'd have your buffers around the sides and the front, and you wouldn't be driving down the road seeing roofs and fences everywhere. But
I guess my thoughts on it is that I've been kind of like Sharon, I've been kind of torn on between the property owner's rights and what we've been trying to do as a board is trying to feather the growth, like Chris said, from 400. And it really it boils down to me that the density is too dense for that area. I do like the new design. I like the green space idea, and I would be fine with a 1 acre conservation subdivision where you would maybe have the houses on a half acre lot and have, 40% roughly in green space. But I'm just afraid if we start we have no control over what the city does up the road there. And more than likely, if those would come before this board, they would not have been approved, especially the way that they are. And I just don't want to see us taking on what they've been doing and just adding to it down the road.
Other comments, concerns, motions?
I'll make a motion that we deny ZA 20-25.
Motion denied by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And it is denied 3-1. We move on to ZA 21-10. Chip Green request to rezone tax map parcel 104-062 and 104-061 from commercial highway business to CHI Commercial Highway Intensive for the purpose of opening a landscape supply business, Highway 53 East and Gober Road. Jameson.
Chairman. As you said, Mr. Green, on ZA application, ZA 21-10, he's looking to go from commercial highway business to CHI, which is our newly formed commercial category that allows for things like landscaping businesses and things of that nature. Currently, Mr. Green is at the top of Gober Hill. He's looking to move down to the bottom of Gober Hill. Good thing about Dawson County is we are prospering, and he's looking to expand his business and acquire more land to grow his business. This property is around 1.97 acres located at the corner of Highway 53 East and Gober Road. It encompasses two tax parcels, 104-061 and 104-062. The current use of the property is there's a house on one piece of property, and the other property is currently being operated as a business for selling these mobile storage units. Other than that, there's no other development on the property. The only staff analysis that came back was a concern that anytime you put something on Highway 53, that there needs to be GDOT approval. I think what you'll see in a newly site plan, and I'll let the applicant further go into that they're not actually looking to use Highway 53. They're actually going to look to use Gober Road as their entrance and exit. So I think that's an excellent solution moving forward. And at this time, I will entertain any questions.
Questions for Jameson? Thank you, sir. We may have some later. Is the applicant present? Come on up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Chip Green. I don't think he's here, so I will present for him. He has proposed to relocate his business, like your planning director mentioned. I was
Corey, tell everybody who you are. We know who you
I'm
are, but
sorry.
everybody may not.
Corey Guthrie. My name is Corey Guthrie. I live at 3384 Elliott Family Parkway here in Dawson County. Chip asked for some help, and I've offered it for a lifetime supply of some mulch. So hopefully, no. As Jameson said, he's prospering. He's bought a piece of property. He's closed on it. He owns this property. It has to be rezoned to operate a landscape business like he intends to operate, which is pretty much exactly the same type of business that he has at where he's at now. It's a low intensity business from a land disturbance standpoint. He'll have a approximate 900 square foot office. It'll have a gravel or GAB landscape yard where he'll put his mulch bins and rock and stone, just exactly like he has it now. We did discuss the access to the property, and I think that might be the most important concern about this particular layout. So we were proposing a 100-foot paved, additional pavement on Gober Road, which would also kind of also blend in with what the shop that's there that the Gobers have now, to be able to pull trucks off of 53 on a paved section. This would improve a county road and then apron into his landscape facility. There is an existing, I guess it used to be a residential access and maybe a semi-commercial access on 53. We would not use that as an entrance. If it were used, it would only be used as an exit for means of egress to go around his landscape yard. We would have to coordinate with Georgia DOT to make sure whatever we proposed there was good for them. So we respectfully request the rezoning from CHB to CHI to help facilitate his expansion of his business.
Questions of the applicant?
The entrance, you're doing a 100-foot of pavement onto Gober Road. Where, right now, the entrance, I'm looking at an aerial, the entrance is kind of at that corner. You're proposing moving the entrance to the business back 60, 70 feet or something to give some road depth there.
Correct. Yeah, that entrance that's there now would be removed.
Okay. So where would the entrance to his property be roughly? I mean, is it
It's
60, 70 foot back?
It would be 100 feet off of the
Oh,
edge
so
of
it's
Highway
100 feet.
53.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
There is an existing house that's on the property that would be removed.
Other questions of the applicant?
How
Thank
many acres are we talking about? Is it 2 point something? or-
It's, yeah, 2.73.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is 1.97. Where did I get a 2 points? Okay, doesn't matter.
It's two parcels.
Yeah, okay.
Other questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir. We may have some later. At this time, I'll open this hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close this hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve ZA 21-10.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion.
If there's any way possible to save that tree in the middle. He does plan to save that. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have ZA 21-11. Jim King requests to rezone 23.11 acres of tax map parcel 114-033-005, 114-018, 114-033-001, and 114-046-001 from RA Residential Agriculture and CCB Commercial Community Business to CHB Commercial Highway Business for the purpose of building a retail office warehouse space. James.
Chairman. Due to an error with how we advertise this, what we would, planning development, we would like to request to table this for a month so we can hear the residential multifamily portion of this along with the commercial portion. As you see in the site plan and the staff analysis, they pretty much join one another. A portion of the larger piece of property is going to be presented before the board as a residential multifamily, and it should be taken into consideration as you, if we can, obviously, we want to take into consideration both pieces of property at the same time and both rezoning requests. So at this time, I would request that we table this. Planning staff would request that we table this for a month to hear both rezoning applications at once.
As we normally do, being as we advertise to have a hearing, we will go ahead and have a hearing, which we will have another one when they bring that completed back. But we'll go ahead and have a hearing in case there's someone here that would like to speak today. And then the board can take up the position of tabling it if they so desire. All right, so you got anything else to add to that?
I can go ahead and present the application as,
Go ahead.
as it's presented. So ZA 21-11, they're requesting to rezone the property from RA and CCB, which it is currently, to, or CCB to CHB. So currently it's a large vacant piece of property with, I think, just one house on it that is probably somewhat dilapidated. They are looking to do retail, office, warehouse, and general retail space out around the accompanying rezoning application for residential multifamily. Staff has recommended that both of these be heard together, only because we want to see this entire site, the stormwater for everything. If it is approved, we want to see it kind of joint together with interparcel connectivity between these different types of zoning classifications. So it's all developed in unison with one sort of land disturbance. That way we're not disturbing at different times. And but the future land use map does have this area designated as commercial highway business. So this is an appropriate zoning for the classification for this area. As you know, when it comes to traffic at the corner of Dawson Forest and 53, we do have the intentions of putting a roundabout, which would be taken into consideration with this request. And I believe there's a few stipulations in the staff analysis that we would recommend putting on this rezoning request.
Questions for Jameson? Okay, it's applicant present.
I do not believe the applicant was able to make it.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'll open up this hearing. Is anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. You've heard the request of the planning department. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
To approve tabling it or what?
Yes, table it, yes. Yes, for 1 month. Is that right? Yes.
Tabling for 1 month. Motion by Commissioner Fawcett to approve tabling this application for 1 month.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion.
What,
Go ahead.
question for James. So what do we advertise wrong? We advertised it wrong or the application was wrong?
Yeah, kind of the issue came with, we tabled, everything got tabled at the planning commission. And then the commercial highway business moved forward, but the residential, the residential multifamily moved forward, but the commercial highway business didn't. So that it was heard at different times and it just got advertised wrong. So we just want to make sure that we dot our i's and cross all our t's.
Thanks.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And ZA 21-11 is tabled 4-0. All right, we'll move on to item number 4, and I have a question for council before I go here. We're taking both of these together?
Yes.
Okay. All right, ZA 21-13, Dawson County request to rezone tax map parcel 1140-019 from RA residential agriculture to RMF residential multifamily for the purpose of constructing 89 townhomes, Highway 53 and Hughes Court. And the variance 21-09, Dawson County request to vary from Dawson County Land Use Resolution Article 3, Section 308, C.6.b, Highway 53 and Hughes Court. Jameson.
Chairman. As you stated, Dawson County is looking to rezone this piece of property through ZA 21-13 and VR 2109. The variance is to resolution, the land use resolution, Article 3, Section 308.6 C6B, and this is something that we see a lot because one of the things that we wanted to stipulate in this particular site plan was the fact that they have 2-car garages. Well, when you see 2-car garages, naturally you want to see a driveway that is significant to handle 2-car garages. Although our current regulations we require only a one-car garage, so we had to accompany that with a variance request, and you'll see that in the stipulations. I will go ahead and just start reading the stipulations as presented. Number one, the property shall be developed in general accordance with the conceptual site plan prepared by Alliance Engineering and Planning dated 02-01-2021, unless otherwise approved by staff. However, the main entrance must be accessed from Beartooth Parkway and substantially in the same location shown on the site plan. In the secondary, emergency access must be from Highway 53 and in substantially in the same location and connected to a cul-de-sac as shown on the site plan. And the final development shall not include less than the same number of guest parking spots as shown on the site plan. Number two, the development shall be restricted to 89 townhomes with a minimum width of 24 feet. Number three, the setbacks on each lot shall be at least 20 feet from the front and 20 feet from the rear, and 0 on the sides with no less than 20 feet between buildings. Number four, each home in the development shall have not less than a 2-car garage enclosed. And that's where the variance application comes from. Number five, the minimum heated floor area of per dwelling unit shall be 1,600 square feet. Number six, all utilities shall be underground. Number seven, the developer shall use a variety of techniques to avoid the monotonous appearance of identical homes. Such techniques may employ, among others, the use of different front elevations, architectural styles, building exteriors, setbacks, and other similar techniques to provide a more pleasing appearance to the subdivision. The front facades of the homes shall be a mixture of brick, stone, or cement fiber materials, with the sides and rears the same or of fiber cement siding. Number eight, there shall be a landscape entrance with a monument sign. Sorry, switching pages here. And lastly, number nine, the development shall have covenants that require maintenance of the landscape entrance, open space, and the amenity area. Membership of the homeowners association is mandatory for all owners of properties, and all properties within the development shall be subject to the covenants. At this time, I will entertain any questions.
Questions for James? Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Davis, are you going to speak on behalf of the county as the applicant?
I can. As you know, this is an issue that's been before you for consideration for some time and before the Dawson County Superior Court in the form of a lawsuit. And this is something that we have worked on in trying to make for a better project. Ultimately, we have entered into a settlement agreement that has resulted in us calling for this public hearing. It does not obligate you to approve the zoning or the conditions as presented by Jameson, but if you do approve the zoning as presented with these conditions, then it will result in the settlement and the dismissal of this lawsuit, and then obligate the developer to complete the project according to the conditions that we approve. So with that, that's really all that I have. We do need to conduct a public hearing like with any other zoning application.
Questions of Ms. Davis? Okay. At this time, I'll open up this hearing. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Please give us your name and your address. Please sign in, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Joshua Scoggins with the law firm of Miles Hansford and Talent. My address is 202 Triple Gap Road, Cumming, Georgia. I am here tonight on behalf of the owner of the property, Dawson Forest Holdings LLC. To echo what Ms. Davis said, we're here before you in the form of a settlement negotiation regarding about a 16-acre tract of land located on Highway 53 and Beartooth Parkway. This is the plan as it's been revised to address several issues, including mitigating traffic concerns, including variety of the facades of the homes, and having fewer homes. We have also decreased the density in this particular project down from 95 townhomes to 89 townhomes in order to facilitate that access drive you see at the top left-hand corner of the site plan to Beartooth Parkway. That will be the main entrance, with the cul-de-sac on the far right side being adjacent to Highway 53 and being subject to only emergency access for fire trucks, police, et cetera. We are seeking one variance, and as Jameson said, explained that very well. In order to get 2-car garages, we have to take a variance to make that driveway wider. And that's what we're doing there. That'll help keep traffic off the streets inside the subdivision. So in closing, we've also increased our minimum house sizes here from 1,200 to 1,600 square feet. Again, we've reduced the density. And we have actually went out and acquired property in order to facilitate the connection there to Beartooth. There was an intervening tract that we went and bought just for the purpose of making that concession. So in closing, I'd just like to thank the board, the county attorney, Jameson. Everybody has worked very hard on this, and I think it has resulted in a better plan and a better project. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close this here, and what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve ZA 21-13 with the variance VR 2109 with the stipulations as read on record by the planning director.
Okay, motion to approve ZA 2113 and VR 2109 with the stipulations read by Commissioner Satterfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. That is all of our zoning. We'll move on to new business. First up, we have consideration of updated Extension Office Memorandum of Understanding. Clark brought that to us a couple of weeks ago. Any other information needed? You were provided some information today from our county attorney in reference to this. Is there any other information needed? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Wait a second.
Well, I'll just offer some comments
Go ahead.
with that. And you may not have had an opportunity to see what I sent earlier today. You know, we had some questions with Clark at the last meeting, and particularly as to just clarity in the agreement with respect to who was responsible for the employees, which option, if you remember, it was check a box, which option. And then in particular, a reference to a financial agreement that is supposed to dictate the county's financial obligations. And so ultimately, in speaking with Clark and dealing with UGA, we've learned that this is a form agreement. And so it's kind of a bit of a take it or leave it, not negotiated item. You have worked under a similar agreement. They've updated it, similar agreement for years. And typically we have felt, I think the county has felt protected through the budget approval in terms of what you allocate for these positions. You know, the agreement itself, however, is not clear. It doesn't have a dollar amount or any kind of cap or anything as to what your financial obligations are. So my suggestion to you is that if you're concerned about just having some sort of certainty with respect to your financial obligations, I would recommend making a motion to approve this memorandum of understanding contingent upon and to the extent of the county's approved budget funds for this purpose, and with the county's budget serving as the referenced financial agreement. And if that is meets with your approval and you wish to modify your motion, then you could either withdraw your motion and withdraw your second and make a new motion, or take this as an amendment to your motion.
You want to withdraw?
I have to read all that.
Do you want to,
Can I just say
wait,
what
before we
she
get to
said?
there, do you want to withdraw the
I
first
can.
motion?
I was gonna amend it, but I will withdraw my
Okay, you
motion.
want to withdraw your second?
I will.
Okay, all right, now, I need a motion.
I'm not touching it.
Well,
I'm
okay.
not touching it.
I'll make a motion to approve the Extension Office Memorandum of Understanding contingent upon and to the extent of the county's approve budget funds for this purpose and with the county's budget serving as the referenced financial agreement.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion.
Well, we've never had any problem with them with any of this, have we?
Oh.
No.
No,
I
they've
mean, this seems
modified.
so cut and dried to me, but
Yeah.
it's changed some.
They've modified the agreement,
Mhm.
and I think we've been comfortable based upon practice, in the past and trust. But, as a lawyer, that kind of stuff makes me nervous. And I think Vicky would appreciate too, knowing that we had some certainty in terms of our obligations. It would be nice if there was an amendment that said, this is your contribution amount, and it doesn't do that. And it references a financial agreement, which when I asked Clark, okay, where's the financial agreement? He said, well, we just always think that's your budget. And so I said, okay, well, then let's just say that. And whatever we approve in the budget is what we're agreeing to fund. So I think that gives us a little comfort, gives me a little bit more comfort.
Well, if Clark's got anything to do with it, I always trust it.
Yep.
When I see Clark McAllister, I don't see any red flags, and I guess that's naive on my part. But he's a good guy, but I know his direction comes from further up.
Exactly. And that's what he said, is he couldn't explain or answer
Mhm.
some of my questions. He just said,
Mhm.
that's just the agreement.
What they do.
And so, and it's not my suggestion that anything's going to go wrong, but just to have some certainty. There's even provisions about increases to the salary and our contribution to benefits and contribution to leave policies if people leave. I mean, there's a lot of obligations with no financial cap or financial explanation of what those amounts would be. So I think if we can tie it to budget and then define what the financial agreement is, since that's referenced, but there isn't a separate agreement, then I think that just will help us have some assurance going forward with this new update.
Any other comment or discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Move on to number 2, consideration of IFB number 382-21 road rehabilitation project for Dawson County. That encompassed 3 different roads. And there was a minor change to that. So if you want to come up and tell us about that, it had to do with the turning lane.
The original bid was just for travel lanes. So when the city started looking at the bid, they said, oh, we have a turning lane there right as you go on to Hauser Mill into the residential subdivision there. So they wanted that included in this bid as well. So that is what this revision is for.
That changed the bid from like 2,300,000 and
Their
something
part-
thousand down to total of 2,406,000, but it also changed their portion from 182 to 194, which they were
Something
considering
changed.
voting on next Monday, I
The
think it
21st.
is. Yep. Just so everybody's familiar with why that change was proposed. No more money for us.
No.
Did change the maximum amount number. Yes, okay. The maximum amount number is, like I say, 2,406,569 and 8 cents. If I'm reading that correct. Right,
All that's spelled out somewhere. It's
it is.
I's dotted and T's crossed and all
Yes,
that.
ma'am. In each one of the tasks that we showed 2 weeks ago,
Yes.
task 1A is theirs.
Any other information needed? Thank you, ma'am. Motion.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve IFB number 382-21 for the road rehabilitation project for Dawson County.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. That's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of board appointments, EMS Advisory Council, Danny Thompson, reappointment term July 2021 through June 2024. That was due to the fact that they rewrote their bylaws, as you remember. Any other information needed there? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Dooley,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have Library Board. We'll take both of these together. Peter Thomas reappointment, term July 2021 through June 2025. Alexandria Williams replacing Susan Roof, term July 2021 through June 2025. And that's on the recommendation of the Library Board. Any other information needed? Motions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And they are both approved 4-0. No one signed up for public comment in this segment.
No, sir.
We do have need for executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion.
And it will be for pending litigation, please.
And will there be a vote? Okay. All right, so a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We'll take a few minutes, and then we'll go in executive session. Thank you for your attendance, both here and online. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.